last rites.
Good evening to all the undead ghouls and monsters. We are your horror hosts for tonight's Last Rites. What is up, Monster Squad? Tonight is episode 24, and this is our Christmas horror. So on the docket, we have Black Christmas, both 74 and 2006, Silent Night, Deadly Night, parts 1 and 2. Even though there are more than that, those are the only two that we had access to via the pirate. Krampus, 2015, Better Watch Out, 2016, A Christmas Horror Story, 2015, Christmas Bloody Christmas, 2022, Silent Night Bloody Night, aka Death House, 1972, Dear Santa, 2024, and Krampus, the Christmas Devil, 2013, and its sequel, Krampus, the Devil Returns, 2016.
All right. Merry Christmas to all.
Yes, Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope you guys had a good one.
How was your Christmas, Brendan?
Relatively quiet, but overall I thought it was really good. I didn't really ask for much, but I got surprised with a couple different things, and
Right on.
yeah, pretty practical. How about you?
Yeah, same. A little bit busy, but yeah, good Christmas overall.
Were you guys bouncing around? Is that why you were busy, or just lots to do?
Lots to do, and yeah, I spent Christmas on two households, so that was a little bit my household and my mom's. So yeah, it was. It got a little bit hectic there for a minute, but I survived.
Yeah. We went to my in-laws. They're out in Julian, so it's a little bit of a drive out there.
Yeah.
Cool ass place. We were kind of hoping for a white Christmas, but it was actually sunny.
Oh, really?
On Christmas Day. So
Okay.
it's kind of a bummer for my kid. He was really looking forward to the snowfall,
Yeah.
or at least having like somewhat of snow, because they get a little bit and it melts real quick. But
Really?
sometimes it gets enough to where it lays up a sheet of powder on the ground, and
Nice.
when you're looking at it, you're like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out here in California, we don't really get a lot of snow unless you go to up to the mountains or something.
Yeah. And that's pretty much like where they're at. That's the region that they're in. So,
Mm-hmm.
but not cold enough for it to stay. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it was last year or the year before. They had with the rains and stuff like that, and which was surprising because it was supposed to be raining here, and it kind of rained the day before, sunny on Christmas, and then it went dark and somewhat scattered showers on the day after.
Yeah.
So, Christmas was a nice sunny day, but it would have been a lot cooler if it was a white Christmas.
Yeah, totally. It got a little bit gloomy down here in Southern California, but yeah.
I asked the pirate to get us. So Black Christmas has a third in its series, which is a 2019 release, and I was asking the pirate to see if he could get that for us, so we could just kind of watch it just offhand.
Yeah.
But he says it's not available.
Oh, well.
Yeah, too bad. Maybe later in the year.
Yep. Maybe for next year?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this obviously is nowhere near a full list of horror movies, and some of these aren't even. I wouldn't even consider them horror movies. They're just fun watches.
Yeah. I noticed that a lot of these Christmas ones. I'll mention real quick. Silent Night, the 1984 one. It played a little more like more like a true crime. Even though it's fiction, but it has the feel of like a true crime type movie more than a horror slasher type movie.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. I guess more along the lines of like action thriller.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
And then they just under the cover of it being at Christmas time, and then the killer dressed up like Santa. So I kind of see where they were going with it, but yeah, definitely I would not consider that so much as today's standards a horror movie.
Yeah, and then the 1972 Silent Night. At first, the first few frames, I was like, am I watching one of those like documentaries like from the 70s, or like it took me back to like when my teacher would show us those crazy films, Bloody Asphalt, I think it was called.
Oh yeah, the driver's ed shit.
Yeah, and I was like, it kind of
funny.
had kind of like that feel, especially like the 70s grain on it and everything. I was like, wait, what am I watching here?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to start right now, like, let's start with that one. Like, that movie was just, I think, just a complete horrible watch for me. Also, it's weird because, like, it's from 1972, and then I read that Canon Films, they bought the rights to it back in like 80 or 81, and then they re-released it in the States because I think it's like an English movie. And so that when they re-released it in the States, they just did away with the whole Silent Night, Bloody Night, and just called it Death House.
Called Death House.
Yeah,
I can see why they did that because, like, in the end, the way it ends and everything, yeah.
Yeah, to me, it was less Christmas and more ghost story.
Yeah.
Is kind of like what I got out of it.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't overall really like it too much, and it does not tickle my fancy at all.
Yeah.
It was just really weird.
I mean, technically, now that you mention it, A Christmas Carol is also a ghost story.
Yeah, but definitely not a horror movie. But yeah,
Right.
yeah, it would definitely fall under a ghost story. But yeah, 1972, Silent Night, Bloody Night. Oh, it is American, so it's not foreign, but they're in the New England area. Jesus Christ. Jiminy Christmas takes place on Christmas Eve, so that's its tie-in to Silent Night, and then the play on words, Bloody Night. But yeah, it definitely to me was more of a ghost story than a Christmas horror movie.
Totally.
Like I said, I just didn't overall really like it. So if I was to rate it on the old stab-o-meter, I think I would give it just one stab.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that low. Yeah, probably same for me. It's it's still good to like watch these movies, and put them under your belt to, because the Xmas horror, it's not really like a popular genre or even subgenre on horror. I think people have a tough time pairing the two,
Yeah, and then for them to like classify what they would consider as horror and what's not.
Yeah. Yeah, the good thing about the horror genre is that it's prolific enough to where you can put different things into a horror category.
I think it's just what they're going for is any death that happens that's not natural.
Right.
And then they're all of a sudden, fuck, there it is. It's a Christmas horror movie.
Right.
It's got Santa in it, or it's got Santa in the title, or some kind of Christmas in the title, and then somebody dies. And we got ourselves a winner. I don't recognize any of these people other than John Carradine. So John Carradine's is the only like well-known actor that was in this movie. Other than that, like to me, all these other people were all a bunch of unknowns. And then same with the director. I've never even heard of this guy. So, and they classify it as a slasher film. And
yeah, which I don't particularly agree with, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where the slasher, aspect of it came in. Same thing too with Black Christmas, where they classify that as technically the first slasher, and I don't see that at all either. No. So I'm not sure where they're coming, with that. But we'll talk about that once we get to Black Christmas. Yeah, John Carradine had a smaller part in it, so he wasn't like overall like the star. But yeah, it's just
Yeah, which is weird because by then he was a pretty established performer,
Yeah, definitely. So. We all give one stab on this Silent Night, Bloody Night, a.k.a. Death House. I mean, if you hadn't seen it, you should probably watch it, but, just to kind of check it off your list. Maybe you got one of those cool movie posters that has the scratchaways, basically it's like 100 movies you have of horror that you would have seen or not. And I don't know if this is on its list or not. I would think Silent Night, Deadly Night would be on there, but maybe not this one.
Yeah.
But in case you have one that does have it, watch it, scratch it off, call it a day. Next would be, I guess we can just jump to Black Christmas. So Black Christmas, there are two movies of this. There's the original, 1974, and its remake in 2006.
Yeah, and I guess the one we haven't seen, 2000, what is it, 18 or 19?
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's another reimagining or retelling or redo.
We'll have to check that one out.
I don't think it's a sequel. It could be a sequel for all I know. or it could just be another group of sorority sisters in another house taking on
some other psychopath or something.
Yeah.
Or other, yeah.
We also have learned that Olivia Hussey, who played Jess, the final girl in the 1974 movie, had also just recently passed away.
Yeah, literally like
a couple days ago.
Like I was watching the movie, and I was doing my research, and it says she passed away on the 27th, and I was watching this movie like on the 28th. And I was like, I just watched this movie when she was alive on Christmas.
Yeah,
and I'm rewatching it now.
Yeah, I think I watched it like on the 22nd or the 23rd. I watched both of them back to back.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man.
And we were just talking about like her and like her role in Romeo and Juliet, and then all of a sudden like the next day, like I hear like, oh shit, she died. Like that was just crazy.
Yeah. She also had like a small part in It, the original one, the 1991. Yeah, she was a very accomplished actress. I didn't know she was Argentinian. She was born in Argentina but raised in Britain, I guess. So she's technically a British actress.
Yeah, because she has a lot more. I didn't hear any kind of like I guess Spanish or like Hispanic like dialect in the way she spoke. Everything it sounded very proper, like English.
Yeah, very British, you know.
Yeah, very British.
Yeah, and I don't think she ever did like roles in Spanish. Maybe she, because for example, Anya Taylor-Joy is also Argentinian, and I've heard some interviews with her speaking Spanish. Her Spanish is perfect, with an Argentinian accent, obviously. But yeah, I don't think Olivia Hussey really spoke Spanish, to my knowledge. But yeah, R.I.P. Olivia.
Yep. Yeah, this movie only had a few actors that I knew. Margot Kidder, obviously everybody knew her. Mm-hmm. Lois Lane from Superman.
Lois Lane, yep.
And then it had John Saxon, and you know him as the dad from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
But he always seems like he falls in that cop role because he's always playing like some kind of cop. Like
right.
He's the lieutenant in this movie.
Uh-huh.
And I think he's either a sergeant or a lieutenant in Nightmare on Elm Street. Or no, maybe he's a detective. But yeah, he's always in some kind of like police role, which is always funny to find out that.
Yeah, and he's rocking a wonderful 1970s comb over, man. That's so cool. The other actor I do recognize is Keir Dullea from he was the spaceman in Space Odyssey 2001, the Kubrick film. Yeah, he was the main guy.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. Like,
yeah. Other than that, Andrea Martin, who is actually also in the 2006 movie as an older, what do they call him? The sorority mother or something like that. She has some sort of title in the sorority house.
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
the older lady.
Yeah, it's the one who's in charge of the girls.
Yeah.
I don't know what the actual like term or title is called.
They mentioned it, but I completely forgot. But
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, because she's Phil in the 74.
Yeah,
and then she plays the mother figure or the caretaker of all the girls in the 2006.
Right. Barbara McHenry is the name of the character in the 2006 remake. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say the 1974, even though it had like a really good cast, for some reason it didn't work for me too much. The pacing was wrong. The editing bay was a complete mess. I think some of the acting was, and I think they tried to fix it in post and the editing, and they ended up making it worse. It's just not a very good movie as a movie,
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that's going on that seemed like it didn't need to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of plot lines.
Yeah,
a lot of plot lines.
And none of it like really connected to each other. It was kind of all over the place. It was like they're trying to tell like multiple stories, but try to still keep it in the same house. And it was just, yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't work for me either. It's just it was everywhere. And they didn't give you any reasoning of why this stuff was happening or going on. They give you like vague snippets stories of what was going on, and then they leave it at that. Like, you're supposed to fill in the blanks enough, like you have enough knowledge of the story to know what's missing out of it, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll just figure it out as I'm watching it.
Yeah. And a lot of the the phone calls, for example, like the creepy phone calls, I think they were more for like shock value than like actual movement of the story, and it became kind of like a cheap thrill at a certain point,
Yeah, because I don't know if the movie came out around the same time, but there was that one movie had Carol Kane in it. I believe it was Carol Kane, and it's the call was coming from inside the house, like the killer was in the house.
Yeah.
And kept calling and like freaking the girl out and stuff like that. So it's I don't know if, like I said, if they were about the same time or that was just a thing like in Hollywood. They're like, ooh, this is really creepy, and this is gonna really get people. It's gonna get their ghost. But I saw no purpose of it.
Yeah, because it didn't really make sense at the end of the movie. Like, okay, so what were the calls about? Like, yeah, it didn't tie together very, very well. I think the remake did a little better job.
The remake, I think, did an outstanding job on tying up all the loose ends and actually putting the story out there for you to figure out what was actually happening, why the killings were happening, and the reasoning behind them, and then also a little bit backstory on the actual like killer.
Yeah, because they do a few right flashbacks.
Yeah,
on the killer. Yeah,
and then they also have like at modern day the whole I guess mental ward or asylum, or wherever he's being held at.
Yeah,
they kind of visit with him there, and you get to see like what he's doing, and then you hear like his plan, and then he keeps, I guess the plot for him is to try and escape every year at Christmas time and make it back to the house, and then this year happened to be the year that it happened.
It had a couple of really cool kills. I did like the one where he gets a candy cane and then he whittles it down to like a sharp like a spike and he stabs somebody with it in the neck. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's something I used to do as a kid all the time. I'm like, because I obviously watched horror movies when I was a kid, and so I would always do that with the candy cane, and always those thoughts would be across my mind, like, man, if I was in a horror movie, like this, I would get the killer with this thing right here, and like he would never see it coming.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty clever. The kills were cool. It had a lot more meat on the bones, right? This one.
Yeah, and had a lot more actresses that are more well known, like Lacey Chabert.
Yeah, from
Mary.
The Mean Girls fame.
Yeah, she's from Mean Girls, but she was also like the youngest daughter from Party of Five. That's kind of where she got her her fame from.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then now she she does a bunch of Hallmark movies.
Right.
But actors got an act, so and there's no shame in that. I watch them. I'm right there with my wife watching them, and I really catch myself liking a lot of them. So there's no shame in it.
Right.
They're still making ends meet, and they're still working and acting. So good for her. And then you got was it Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was Ramona Flowers.
Yep. Very famously.
Yep. She's also in the Ahsoka series. She plays.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she
More
plays.
recently,
What's her face? But she was in also like Final Destination 3. She was in Sky High.
Did you ever see Death Proof?
Oh yeah, she was one of the girls.
Yeah, she's a cheerleader. That one was cool.
Hera. I don't even have to look it up now. It just came right to me. So she
cool.
she plays Hera in the Ahsoka series. So she's the live action version from Rebels, which I thought they did a pretty good job on. And it looks like she's also in a relationship with Ian McGregor, Mr. Obi-Wan Kenobi himself.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and they have a child, so good for them.
Interesting.
Yep. Moving on to Katie Cassidy.
I don't really remember her.
So she was in what was it, the new 90210 series? She was also on the. She was in the Arrowverse. She was on the show Arrow.
Yeah.
She played Black Canary on the show.
Oh right. Yeah. Okay.
She was also in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which was horrible. She was in some episodes of Gossip Girl. Oh, that's the movie that I was talking about earlier, When a Stranger Calls. So it looks like they did a remake of that also in 2006 at the same time they did the remake for Black Christmas. She was in Supernatural. She played Ruby in Supernatural for all you Supernatural fans out there, which I'm a huge Supernatural fan. Yeah, I want to say it was the new 90210 spinoff. Nope, my bad. It was the new Melrose Place spinoff. I knew it was one of those two fucking shows. And then her dad, also very famous from the Partridge Family, David Cassidy. Also in Black Christmas, Michelle Trachtenberg. So we know her from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Eurotrip. Those are like her two famous ventures. And then obviously, like we talked about, Andrea Martin. She played Barbara. She was the head person in the sorority. And then also Oliver Hudson. So he's Goldie Hawn's son and Kate Hudson's brother. He's pretty well famous in his own right for the stuff that he's been in. And then there's just a couple other people. Like I said, Dean Frizz played Agnes. Robert Mann played Billy. And Billy's the one who was locked up in the asylum and then escaped. Agnes, like there's a lot of Agnes talk in the first Black Christmas, but you never really see Agnes or have any visual on her or anything of the sort. And it's not until this one it goes a little deeper in the story for who Agnes actually is, and then having Agnes actually in the film, which was to me a big surprise because watching the first Black Christmas and then all of a sudden coming to this one and then all of a sudden Agnes is more present in the movie, or more prominent in the movie.
Big reveal too.
Yeah. And so you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I think this one, the remake, did a really good job at doing that, putting the pieces together and actually having like a big reveal at the end, actually explaining the whole motive for the killer.
Yeah, I think the overall story was pretty well put together, and it also had multiple storylines going on, but like I said, everything was pieced together, and the way the spider web came together in the middle for everybody connected was very well written. They did an outstanding job. I wish they would have done this on the first one, because it wasn't a bad movie, but it could have been better, and it could have had all the ends tied together better. But it is what it is. Also, like I said earlier, like how they deemed it to be the first slasher movie. This 2006 movie was more of a slasher movie than the 74 movie. I just don't understand how they conceptually can think that movie itself could be a slasher movie, especially when I think only one kill happens with a knife.
Yeah.
And the rest of them were just kind of random, just like random kills. It's basically like things that just happen to be present. He had a bag and he like put it over the girl's head.
Yeah. Oh right.
Suffocated her, and it's basically like things that he had in his grasp. That he's like looking around for. Just like last minute, like, oh, I could just kill her with this.
Yeah. Right. And the whole thing with the attic and all that, it didn't really pan out to be anything. And in the remake, there's like an actual motive for like the whole attic thing. Yeah. It's a lot more put together.
Yeah. So the first one, I would probably give it 2 stabs, and then like the remake, I would give it 4 stabs.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 2 and 4. It's a significant improvement on that remake.
Yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. Also, if you've seen the 2019 Black Christmas, let us know in the comments. I'd like to know like how this movie is. Is it a remake, or is it a redo, or is it a reimagining? Okay, moving on to our next set of movies here. We have Silent Night, Deadly Night, and then, like I said, there's I think the pirate said there's 4 of these. I only knew of the 2. It wasn't until he brought to my attention that there's a part 3 and a part 4. So unfortunately, I hadn't seen the latter of the sequels, only the part 1 and part 2. Did you get a chance to watch these?
Only the 1984 one. I didn't get to watch part 2. Yeah, no. Now I'm intrigued. Now I want to see
Yeah, because I want
develops.
to know what kind of continuation.
Yeah.
So part one is a story of a family stopping to help out a Santa Claus who ends up killing the family, and the family has two sons, one who I think he's about like 5 or 6, and then there's a baby.
Yeah.
And so the 5 or 6 year old gets out of the car, runs down to the embankment of the highway, and hides in like the weeds, trying to camouflage himself in there. But he watches the Santa Claus kill his parents, and so the kids years later are being raised in a what would you call those like homes? The sister. There's like a name for them, like the churches that have like the kids.
Orphanage.
Orphanage. Thank you. Yeah, so they're at the orphanage being raised, but the part one only focuses on the older boy and like his basically raising of him at the orphanage, and then when he moves out, he's a little bit older, and then he has like a psychotic break, like working at this job where they basically force him to dress up as Santa because he still has some super heavy PTSD over this, like never got over it, and probably never will, obviously. And so one of these coworkers, they're having like their own Christmas party, and two of the coworkers are kind of getting friendly with each other, and one of them's kind of taking it a little too far. And then he just starts like, that's where he has his snap, and like he just sees his mother all over again, and and then he ends up like doing in the guy who's trying to get fresh with the girl, and then she like loses her shit because she's like, oh, you're so fucking weird, and just get away from me, and instead of being like thankful that this guy was practically gonna do some things to her that were unspeakable, and he like saved her life. But at the same token, he like killed another person, so I could see where she flipped out. But and then, like I said, he just kind of, because he lost it, he just went on a rampage from that point, just started killing everybody.
Yeah. It's one of those classic cases of the trauma causing you to repeat the trauma, right?
Yeah, so it focuses on the kid's name is Billy. And then there's Mother Superior, so there's a lot of flashes of him, like basically, growing up in the orphanage, and the shit that he's going through and seeing, and the way that they treat him, because like his PTSD, because obviously back in like the 70s and 80s, nobody really, nobody ever really diagnosed anybody, with that type of severe trauma or disorder, and wanted to help him off. It's kind of like the olden days of just like hurt yourself, just go walk it off.
Yeah, walk it off. You'll be fine.
Yeah, don't think about it. You're fine.
Yeah, or work it out or something. If you're not thinking about it, you're not gonna depression, like all of that.
Yeah, so he ends up back at the orphanage towards the end of the movie to take his revenge on Mother Superior, because I think he thinks that she's the one really like who kind of pushed his PTSD to what it shouldn't have been. So she like basically not encouraged it, but she like I don't know. There's like a word for it. I can't fucking think of it, but I think he's just trying to find someone to blame, and she's the easiest person to blame. Yeah. So he went back to to handle business, but then ends up getting done in. So, and then his little brother's still in the orphanage, and witnesses what happens. Oh. And then that's kind of like where they cut the movie.
Yeah. So the trauma continues on.
It's
like a snowball, so to speak.
Yeah. So in part two, this movie, half the movie basically is just a rehashing. It's like I told you, it's like watching Evil Dead and then Evil Dead 2. They're practically the same fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's just one had a higher budget than the other one. This one's kind of similar to that. It was like they took part one and then just shoved it inside of part two, because it was all the same footage.
Yeah.
They just recycled the same footage from part one and let it play out while he's like, while the younger brother is talking to, I want to say, a shrink or something like that. And as he's telling the story of what's happening with his brother, and then how it affected him and things like that. But it's just like the entire time you just see the same
filler episode.
Yeah, it's just complete filler. It's like they had like half a story, and they're like, well, how are we gonna make this movie? Oh yeah, let's just take the first movie and then throw it inside this one.
So basically, is the brother telling his psychiatrist the first movie?
Yeah.
Like, in case you haven't seen the first movie, here's what happened.
Yeah. They're like, you don't need to see the first movie. You just need to see part 2. It's both movies in one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it is. Like, and so he's like telling the story, and you see all the same scenes, same actors. I mean, it's literally the same movie. They just cut it up and threw it inside of part 2, and then towards the little past the middle-ish to the end, then it's more his story and what's going on with him.
Okay.
Same thing. He just has a psychotic break, kills the psychiatrist, and then goes on a killing rampage. Cop tries to stop him, and he ends up taking the gun and shooting the cop with his own gun. And then now he's just walking. He's just literally walking down the street, spinning this gun in his finger like the Wild West. And then like he just starts shooting people. Like people
just
are
randomly?
just people driving down the street, and he's like shooting at them through the window of the car, and like they're veering off and hitting something. And then he gets to this neighborhood, and like he sees this guy taking out the trash cans, and that's a classic meme that you see like all over like TikTok and Instagram, where the guy like he pulls out the gun, he's all garbage day,
Yeah.
and then he fires the gun, and the guy at the trash cans like gets shot, and you see him like fly back, and the lid like flies, and
Oh, shit.
so if you've seen that meme, that's
where it comes from.
that's where it comes from. This, and then the guy that they have acting as the younger brother, he's just so over the top.
Really?
Yeah, it's comical how over the top he is, and like how his like you when you're watching it, you totally believe that he actually is psychotic because he does a damn good job of convincing you that this guy is fucking psychotic, that you're just like, wow.
Yeah. All right. Well, now I want to watch that. I'll look for the meme, see if I recognize it.
Yeah, so Billy is the the older brother, and Ricky is the younger brother. He's played by Eric Freeman. So I've never seen him in anything else. But yeah, this is him walking with the gun. But yeah, it's such a weird movie. Like, and then same thing too. The premise is he's trying to get to Mother Superior because she didn't get done in the first movie, but now she's like kind of retired. And he finds out where she lives, and he goes to kill her. They got the trash can.
Oh,
yeah. Garbage day. That shit is just so comical. And then he had this girlfriend, like really hot chick, and I don't know what the fuck happened. Really, like something happened where he got mad or had a disagreement, and he's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna kill her. And he just like, then he just kills her, like chokes her to death. Like there's some things that just didn't make any sense whatsoever. That's from the first one. But like that's him right there talking to the shrink, telling like his story and his brother's story. And this is like way less of a Christmas movie than the first one. So I didn't really see any scenes of really Christmas, of anything going on. This is all from the first movie. So it's fucking so weird how they just took the first one and just chopped it up and then threw it in there.
Huh?
Yeah, and he's just telling the story. Like, but yeah, super intrigued also about part 3 and part 4. Let's see where they go with that.
What year were those made?
I don't know.
Because we have 84, 87. It's 3 years later.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to find the Wikipedia.
I'm guessing they go up to like the 90s in the later parts.
Yeah, I would think so. Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3 is called You Better Watch Out. Bill Moseley is in Part 3, and he plays a character named Ricky, so I don't know if it's the same Ricky from the second movie. If he's playing like the same character.
89. 2 years later.
Yeah, so this is 89, and then the sequel to that is Silent Night, Deadly Night 4.
Initiation.
and that's 90.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ricky. So it looks like they're all Ricky. So it's the younger brother, or at least it's the same name. That's the name of the younger brother, Ricky. But don't know if that's
The same character.
yeah, the same character or not. So we won't know until we see it. Oh, what the fuck! Silent Night, Deadly Night 5.
There's a fifth one.
The Toy Maker, 1991.
Wow, so they made like a whole series of these.
Yeah, there we go. None of those names are the same names. So looks like
Looks like Ricky gets taken out at some point.
yeah, if he's not taken out by the second one, which I thought he was, which spoiler alert, it looks like he's gone after the fourth. At least the character name is gone.
Oh man, R.I.P. Ricky.
Yeah, this one has Mickey Rooney in it. He plays the Toy Maker. Interesting. 5 movies. That's crazy.
That's a little Silent Nights.
No, what the fuck? Part 6.
Is there a 6?
Silent Night, Deadly Night, Santa's Watching.
Santa's Watching. What year is this one?
Oh, 2010. That's
Oh,
a TV movie. This jumped.
Yeah. That's a big time jump.
Yep. There we go. Film series for Wikipedia. Well, I don't know. It doesn't look like that part 6 was in the same universe, because it doesn't show here. 2012 has a Silent Night, so I don't know if this is a reimagining of the original. And then there's a 2025 untitled reimagining. So it looks like they're getting ready to release it again. So it looks like they tried to reboot it in 2012 under the name of just Silent Night. And now there's a 2025 movie coming out, written and directed by Mike Nelson. We'll see what happens, I guess, with that. I'm guessing the part 6 is just probably saying part 6 just kind of feed off of the series name. Like,
Yeah.
you know, how some movies do that. They'll try to use the same wordage to make you think that it's part of that.
Part of it, but
yeah,
some other thing. Yeah.
just to get you to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least no one updated the Wikipedia to include part 6. Well, we'll have to reach out to the pirate and see about getting those movies. We'll probably have to review those ones next year. But yeah, part 1, part 2. If I was to get the stab out, it'd probably be 2 stabs for each one.
2 stabs? Okay.
Yeah. Nothing overly horrific about it, you know. I guess maybe back in the day it was, but you know, we're so probably desensitized to this shit. Like it's just a walk in the park for us. You know, you just see that and you're like, oh yeah, it's just standard horror.
Yeah, so sometimes it gets comical, like you said. You know, I don't think maybe they didn't mean to do that, but it just came off as something funny.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like in '87, like the comic relief of it was probably just a little like breaking the ice or lightening the mood. You know, while all this killing is happening, and maybe people were still horrified. You know, you got this guy walking in broad daylight, just fucking shooting people like at point blank range. And
Yeah.
I could see some people just being weirded out about that kind of shit, but you know,
I mean, it's happened in real life. Too.
Yeah, but in today's standards, you just kind of look at that and you're like, guy's mental, and
Yeah, got a hold of a gun somewhere, and yeah, it didn't happen like this year or last year with some guy was shooting people on the freeway or something.
I mean, that's pretty much like the last couple of years. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so next, Krampus, 2015. This is a horror comedy. This one has Adam Scott, and he was from. Is he from Community or is it Parks and Rec? I can never get those.
It's Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I can never get those two fucking.
Yeah. I always confuse
Straight.
those two.
Yeah.
I always confuse them too. Mostly because I always watch them kind of back to back. So like, yeah, they're really like. Also, 30 Rock. It's also like really like.
Oh yeah, he was on that too. Yeah.
I always put them in the same category. So yeah, it's easy to confuse those. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So Adam Scott, Toni Collette, you know her from The Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense, Hereditary.
Yeah, Hereditary.
I mean, she's been
Oh
around.
yeah, she was really good in Hereditary. That was a crazy movie.
Yeah.
And then David
Kochner?
Kochner.
Kochner? Yeah.
He was Champ in the
Yeah.
in the Anchorman. He was
The Anchorman, yeah.
He was the sportscaster guy. You would recognize him like as a character actor, really well known. Yeah, he's in it, and then some unknowns.
I know I've seen Alison Tolman in something, but I can't remember what.
Yeah, she looked a little familiar, but I couldn't remember if I had seen her in anything.
I know I've seen her in things. She's been around too.
Oh, Fargo.
Oh right, yeah, she was one of the cops in Fargo. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, so this movie, so Adam Scott, Tony Collette, and this young kid, his name is MJ Anthony. He plays Max, and they have Adam's mom, who is this older German lady living with them, and
who would switch from German to English, like just randomly.
yeah, yeah, she pretty much spoke German the entire movie, and then both of them understood everything that she said.
Yeah.
Like no problem.
Yeah,
and
they would just answer back in English.
Yeah. He was supposed to be writing a letter to Santa Claus, and somehow it. See, I'm still fuzzy on the information. If he was writing it to Santa, I don't think he was writing it to Krampus.
No, I think Krampus he makes a wish. He makes a wish because he gets into a fight with his cousins. But like from the beginning, you can see that he's well. To me, it seemed like he was kind of like a problematic kid a little bit because he's fighting at the mall. He's already like a really antsy teenager, you know, and he gets into a huge fight with his cousins on Christmas dinner. And
No, yeah, it is a. He did write to Santa.
Oh, he wrote?
Yeah, because they found it.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're
And
reading it. That's
yeah,
that's why
they're
they get
reading
into
it
a
at the
fight.
table, and that's why they got in the fight.
Yeah, but then how does it happen then that he wishes that his family was not around or something like that, right?
He tears it up and throws it out the window.
Yeah, and basically he's like, "Fuck Christmas." And,
Yeah, and then so with that, Christmas magic takes it, and then it ends up in Krampus's hands.
Yeah.
And then from that point, like everything just starts going wrong. Like the whole town like fucking freezes over. His sister wants to go see her boyfriend, so she like tries to go trekking out to go see him to make sure that he's okay, and she doesn't make it back. But the visual of Krampus was kind of cool, but like they didn't really show too much horror, like opposed of them being killed.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like
well, it's a PG-13, right? So
yeah, it was kind of like a Halloween, you know, where everything was left up to the imagination of what could have happened.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It was PG-13. But yeah, also, you know, being a horror comedy is what it was rated.
It does have a lot of comedic beats. Yeah. The picture they're taking, and the Santa Claus is checking out the daughter. But she's hanging up this picture because they have all these pictures of this Christmas pictures from previous Christmases.
Yeah.
With Santa, and then she's already hanging it up, and she barely notices this as she's hanging it up. And I'm like, what? Okay. But
Imagine that. That's crazy. Like, you fucking pervert. This movie was directed by Michael Dougherty, who directed one of my favorite movies, Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat.
Yeah, Krampus basically gets a hold of that torn up letter, and you know, gets that wish of you know, fuck my family, and he basically is like an assassin almost. He just starts picking the family off one by one.
Starts taking them out.
He makes his way into the house, and he's got like this bag like Santa, but instead it's got like all these like evil toys that are like his helpers and minions.
The minions, yeah.
And then he actually has like these elves that are outside, which for the longest time they're just in the yard as snowmen.
Yeah.
Which I thought was super cool, because all of a sudden like they started popping up in the yard, and then the kid was like, where did all these snowmen come from? Like, and they're just sitting there and like biding their time basically until like they get into the house. But yeah, I thought overall it was a pretty cool movie. It was interesting, especially like all the visuals that you see of like the demonic Krampus. This one looked like just a really weirded out like version of Santa.
Yeah, yeah. The design for this one is really cool. The horns and the dead face, and yeah. I wish I felt like for a movie called Krampus, you didn't really see Krampus that much. You focus a lot more on the family,
Yeah.
of course. But yeah,
I did.
I thought maybe more Krampus and less of the minions would have been better. But overall, it was okay.
I did like enjoy the grandma's story of
Yeah,
when she was younger.
Of how the this is the animation, right? The stop animation, stop motion, or
Yeah.
it's some sort of animation, right?
Yeah, it's something like it's like shadow and a stop animation, and then I don't know what do you even call it. But yeah, it's not live action. The retelling of like her childhood. So same thing, like she wishes off Christmas, and so Krampus appears and takes her family and leaves her with this fucking like Krampus jingle bell, this dark ass like one bell. Looks like it's like the bells that are on the reindeer's reins.
Yeah.
But you know, it's basically a reminder of what happened, and keeps her in line so that way, you know, he doesn't come back. And if he does come back, you know, obviously he's going to take her. So, but she's been alive this entire time. I think she gives the bell to the kid, to Max, and when she was telling him the story, like afterwards. But
Yeah, I think that was the one time she spoke English, right? And then she just goes back to
Yeah.
speaking in German after that.
yeah, she's like, I've got to tell you a story. And then like the other family, like the sister and her family, and they're just kind of like blown away, like, what? She speaks English?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, the other lady, right? She made me laugh a lot. Who was she? Was she the mother-in-law? It wasn't clear to me who she was in the family.
Oh, her?
No, the older lady. I think it was her mom or
No,
her.
the older lady, the grandma, is Adam Scott's mom. So it's MJ Anthony's grandma, Max's grandma.
Yeah. Omi Engel.
Yeah.
No,
Omi is another name for grandma.
for grandma, right? Yeah, it's German, I guess. No, I'm aunt. She's an aunt Dorothy.
Oh
played
yeah.
by Conchita Ferrell.
I forgot. Conchita's in this. She was the housekeeper on 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was also in like a handful of Tim Burton movies, especially like Edward Scissorhands. She had a big role in that, being one of the wives that was
Right.
that were always throwing those backyard parties and shit.
Yeah.
And then he was like cutting all their hair, and like they were just all getting into it.
Yeah. She brought a lot of the comedy into it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, she was like that super fucked up aunt that nobody wanted to have anything to do with, but then they're like, oh look, we brought Aunt Dorothy.
Yeah, because she's like super rough around the edges. She always speaks her mind.
Yeah, and everybody's like, oh shit.
Yeah, she had a couple of cool one-liners.
It's actually kind of cool seeing like Seth Green was in the movie. He played one of the elves.
Yeah, Lumpy
Yeah.
and Clumpy.
But you never saw their faces because they had like these weird masks or
Yeah.
like the prosthetics, like for I guess what they're supposed to be.
Yeah, more creature.
Lumpy, Clumpy. This one's Dumpy. There was the Cherub. There's a couple dark elves. Dirt Clown. That one was pretty cool. The Wasp mother. She's the one that the topper that was like flying all around. So she's the one that they are supposed to be talking or not talking. That's the movie Mother Krampus. Like that character itself is what that movie's based on.
Yeah.
She has like a specific name. I didn't get to watch that one, so can't really go into detail about it. And it's also news to me. Like I didn't know that was a. I don't think it's an actual thing. I'm sure that they just invented it, but like, but as like the character itself, I think the character is real, but like it's not Mother Krampus. Like,
Oh, okay.
like they just went with that title just to get people to watch the movie. I thought it was a pretty good movie. Kids are weird. Like, so the sister and the brother-in-law, they have two daughters, and so the dad basically is like trying to like groom the girls into be like tomboys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants them to be like jocks and, you know, play sports and stuff like that. Be less girly, more manly.
Yeah.
So
they carry a lot of guns with him.
yeah. They definitely look like they live in the country, and they're, you know, wearing overalls and and look like they ride around on some John Deeres and shoot the shotguns, and it's crazy like the transformation. Just seeing their pictures here compared to what they look like in the movie, it's like night and day. But overall, what would you think of the movie?
No, I liked it. It was fun. It was fun. Christmas movie, I didn't realize there were so many Krampus movies, but I guess this one's like an actual legit with like a budget, an actual cast, an actual unknown director that knows what he's doing with this type of stories,
Yeah.
And I thought it was fun. I'll it's something I'll rewatch on Christmas every now and again.
Yeah, I would definitely throw that in the rotation, especially with these other ones. A few of them are, like I said, they're not so much like horror movies, but they're just fun watches. And then, there's a couple of them that are actual like horror, like Christmas, that I would definitely keep in the rotation, like the 2006 Black Christmas.
I wouldn't mind a sequel too to it, because it was the way it ended, and we'll just get into the ending. He goes, but he says sorry, right? The kid says sorry, and he wants his family back, but Krampus is like, forget it, kid, and throws him into that like weird hole or something.
Oh yeah. He literally like picks him up and then just like rotates him over to the hole and just drops him. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah. You think he's gonna? No, this is Krampus we're talking about, right? So he drops him, but he wakes up in his house again, and everybody's there, and it's Christmas and all this. But then they pan out, and you see that the house actually.
Well, before they do that, like you could see, they it looks like they start to remember, because they all get these like weirded out looks on their face, like something like you can hear the flashes, and you can hear the scenes from that happened previously in the movie, start playing as in the audio, and then it's replaying in their head, like they can hear it and they're remembering, and they're just like, oh fuck. And then the kid opens his present, and it's that bell that the grandma had. Yeah. So he has his own, but he's with the family, and then you were saying that it pans out.
It pans out, and you see the house, and it's snowing and everything, but it's in a snow globe, and then you see a bunch of other snow globes.
Yeah, I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, and I guess that's Krampus's place. I guess you see a bunch of other stuff, and all the snow globes. So like my question was the grandma, was she in her own snow globe, or 'cause then you don't see her again, but then if they're in the snow globe, is this like the snow globe, can they get out of the house, or are they just trapped there? Like they don't really explain it, but it did leave me with some questions and a desire to know more,
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was really cool. It's really well done.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool concept of him, like basically capturing these people and just casing him in a snow globe, and he just has like this, looks like endless like shelving area, and he just walks over and just drops the one snow globe down, like boom. Yeah. Like that's the newest added to my collection.
Yeah, because I was reading up a little bit on like the real lore of Krampus, and the stories, they range from he punishes naughty kids. I mean, and they kind of bring up a little bit, like isn't that Santa's job to like punish the naughty kids with a lump of coal instead of a present? But anyway, he punishes kids who have been naughty by either hurting them and sometimes eating them. So like that's the thing that you would tell a little kid to scare him into going to bed or something.
Well, I mean, clearly that falls back into like European folklore.
Yeah.
So I'm sure when it came here to America, they did away with Krampus and then just said, no, Saint Nick is the one who gives you the lump of coal because you've been bad.
Yeah.
So they try to take as much of the darkness and evil out, but they still want to have some kind of punishment. But it's like, well, you were naughty, so this is what you get.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a cool thing that they added, I guess. I couldn't find it anywhere else. The thing with the snow globe, that was a good idea. Whoever came up with that, kudos.
So So what would you rate this?
I did like it. It had a little I had a little problem with the pacing a little bit. It was really slow at first, and then all of a sudden it ramps up and it kind of speeds a little too fast towards the end there, a little bit rushed. So I give it 3 stabs. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm probably there with you. It's kind of the run of the mill like kind of movie. It's got its comedy. It's got its horror aspects. I wouldn't say too much it's a horror movie.
Not too much, no.
I think they tried to do some jump scares, but it's not like enough for you to like shit your pants.
Yeah.
Like jump scares, but
still
just
PG-13, so
yeah. Yeah, kind of I guess goosebumps.
Yeah.
Goosebumps jump scares.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, fun movie, really good cast, very well written, and just great concepts on just the overall premise of Krampus and his lore. And yeah, so I'm there with you with 3 stabs. Next is Better Watch Out, 2016, and this movie, totally not what I fucking thought it was going to be when I watched it.
Yeah.
So.
As it developed, I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here?" But no, it's a cool premise. It's basically just what would you call it? It's basically like an American Psycho, right? Just but in Christmas.
Yeah,
and a lot younger, I guess.
Yeah, Wikipedia has it listed as a Christmas psychological horror film, but as for the standard Google, it just says horror comedy. But I agree that it is more psychological horror. And yes, that is a good analogy of it being more like American Psycho, because there is a lot of thinking that's going on, a lot of plotting. This kid had a lot of shit going, on and had a lot of fallback, or at least he's quick-witted to figure out shit.
Yeah, and the way they present him in the beginning of the movie, he's kind of like a wimp, I guess, but he was just sort of biding his time.
Yeah, he was just playing a role, it seems like.
Yeah.
So the kid's a 12-year-old, has a babysitter. Babysitter's, I guess, planning on to move to a new area, and so this is kind of like her last hurrah. So she comes to babysit for, I guess, one final time while the parents go out for one of their, I'm guessing, Christmas parties for one of their works. And the kid Luke, played by Levi Miller, which I don't know any of the younger cast, but I do know like the parents, and then I know the one ex-boyfriend, which everybody would know him, and I don't even know how to pronounce his fucking name. Like
yeah, it's weird. I can pronounce his last name, Montgomery.
Yeah, it's like like Dacery, or I'm probably really completely butchering it. It's probably like a super simple way to pronounce it, but he was Billy from
Stranger Things.
Yes, thank you, Stranger Things. I always fucking blank out on this shit. And then he was also the Red Ranger in the Power Rangers reboot.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it was like in the teens or something like that. Like 2015, 2016, somewhere about there.
Or around the same time, looks like.
Oh, 2017.
The next year after this movie.
Yeah, so, yeah, he was in Stranger Things, played Billy. He was the older brother to the redhead girl, which I can't even think of what the fuck her name is. And,
Sadie Sink is the name of the actress.
Yeah,
I don't remember
Sink.
the name of the character.
Max.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so she was Max. So yeah, he's her brother in the show, and huge story that with him. If you hadn't seen that season, and yeah, the Red Ranger and the Power Rangers reboot when they redid it. So those are the few movies that I know him from, and then you got Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
Great character actor, great voiceover actor.
Yeah. Super cool voice.
Yeah, and then you got Virginia Madsen, definitely a great actress, and from the horror realm, you know her from Candyman. So if you've seen Candyman, like she was phenomenal in that movie with Tony Todd. Such a good actress. But yeah, they're the only ones I recognize in this. I thought I knew the babysitter, but I didn't see The Visit. It shows that she's from that, and she's also in the Elvis movie, but I never also seen that either. So shame on me, because I'm a huge Elvis fan, and I don't know. I'm just on the fence about Austin Butler as Elvis. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's more Tom Hanks. I'm just really kind of anti Tom Hanks. There's a lot of things about him that don't really sit well with me. So I'm just kind of like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
So but everybody loves him because he's fucking Woody in Toy Story, and and he's a great actor. And don't get me wrong, he's he knows how to work the system. But as a personal person, like, he's just, I don't know, he's got some real iffy, strange, views on life. So whatever with him. Anyways, so she's moving out of town, and one last, I guess, job, so that way she could say her goodbyes to Luke. Luke has his friend Garrett come over, and I guess they had plotted this entire like concoction of what he thought his night was going to be, because I think he wanted to try and like make the moves on her because he's got a huge crush on her, as do any young kid with a babysitter.
With a babysitter, yeah, of course, especially when she looks like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he was supposed to like ask her out or propose to her or something like that. But then the whole thing takes a whole nother turn.
Yeah, but it just seems like every way this could go wrong, like, he has a way out of it. Like, it seems like he's very, like I said earlier, he's very quick-witted. Like, he figures out, or he's very resourceful. He figures out a way to, overcome the obstacle. It's just really cool, like, to see, like, this young kid, like, really outsmart, the older people. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Home Alone, but
oh yeah, a little bit,
because there was one scene that they did reference, and it was like brutal.
Yeah.
Super fucked up. And it seemed like he got away with his plan, like, towards the end, because he didn't get his way, so he had a contingency plan, basically like, fuck it, everybody dies. Basically, like, at the end of the movie, he thought the babysitter was dead, and they basically are like, oh, we have a live one, she made it. She got stabbed in the neck. And so as they're wheeling her out, he's like staring out the window at her, like being wheeled in the ambulance, and she's just flipping him off.
Yeah.
And then like it rolls like credits, and then like halfway through the credits, it has like a cut scene, like an after scene thing. So, and then he like basically says to his mom, he's like, oh, he's all, I think we need to go to the hospital. I want to make sure Ashley's okay.
Yeah, I'm super worried.
Yeah. Like, he's already got it. Like, he's already, the wheels are already turning, and he's like, man, so I'm gonna get to the hospital. I'm gonna kill this bitch.
Yeah, with the whole after credit scene, I thought there was gonna be, or maybe they had plans to make a sequel of some sort, but it hasn't happened yet. But
yeah, no, it's completely set up for that. So it's either like it's up to your discretion. It's how you want to imagine it. Did he go to the hospital? Did he kill her? Did he get arrested? What happened? But yeah, you just don't know until they either make a sequel or you just leave it at your own imagination.
Yeah. What happens in your head canon? Yeah,
no, like I said, it was just completely left field. When I watched it, I was just like, wow, this movie tripped me out. I was like, and it was super cool. I was like, damn. I was like invested in this movie from the moment it started till it ended. I was just like, yeah, this is one of the better Christmas watches, even though it's not typically a horror movie. So I was
it's a killer movie.
Yeah, it's a killer movie. I mean, it's like that one movie, the Babysitter.
Yeah.
So then the Queen Babysitter, I think, was the sequel, or I think it was called something like that. But it's same thing. It's not really too much of a horror movie. It's just like a psychological like thriller.
Yeah, I would put Krampus more as a horror movie, or closer to a horror movie than Better Watch Out. But yeah.
I mean, this basically just takes place during Christmas. That's really the only Christmas tie-in.
Right, exactly. I mean,
there's nothing.
it
there's nothing
could,
Christmas related. Anything
no,
else?
No. I mean, it could have been any other holiday, or just not a holiday at all. He just, whatever. His babysitter's leaving or something for no other reason. But other than the title, I guess, better watch out.
Yeah, I mean that's a little misleading, but also at the same time, it kind of makes sense. You better watch out. So, because you don't know what's the plan. But yeah, I definitely thought it was really cool. I would give this 4 stabs.
4 stabs?
Yeah, I was completely entertained.
Yeah. Okay. I like this movie a lot. I give it 3 stabs.
Okay. Cool. So moving on, Christmas Horror Story is next. 2015 was the release. This one says it's a horror mystery and also an anthology. But this is a really hard watch for me when I watched it, because the anthology really, none of it
It's disconnecting.
Yeah, it was very disconnected from each other. There was 3 stories that were going on. 2 of the stories were connected in the very beginning, and then they split off, and then were just 2 separate stories. And it didn't pick up until almost the very end, where the 2 stories intersected with the 3rd story, but the 3rd story had its own twist at the end, and which I thought was probably the coolest part of the movie was the twist. But for the most part, the movie stars basically William Shatner as this radio DJ host, and he's the only tie-in, because he's basically talking about how he's gonna get with the one girl that's at the station, and how he's drinking his eggnog, and it's Christmas time, and we're gonna be playing these Christmas jams, and so he's and it's in this one town as everything's happening, and so he's the only tie-in to at least the 2 stories, because the other story you see seems like it's happening at the North Pole with Santa and his elves and his wife.
Okay.
So did you watch this one?
No, I put it on, and I started watching it, but we were in the middle of making Christmas dinner, and I was in charge of the mashed potatoes. So while I was peeling the potatoes, I was watching the beginning of it, and then for the rest of it, I had to go back to the kitchen. It was a little. I would come back and be like, "Wait a minute, who are all these other people?" That's when I noticed that it was more of an anthology. Because I was like, "Wait, what happened to the other people then?"
Yeah, because it jumped around. It just kind of it would go to, I guess, where they thought they needed to stop the story to jump to the next story. And then they thought, oh, this is a good cliffhanger. We're just going to stop right here. And it would literally just dead end at that point. And then all of a sudden, it would just start playing the next story.
The next thing.
Yeah, and you're just kind of what just happened?
Okay, yeah, that's what happened to me then. Because, I'd go back to the kitchen, come back, and it would be a completely different thing. And I'm like, I'm lost. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so there's this school that they had a murder in, and it was somewhat supernatural, and so they shut the school down, and these kids, I don't know if it was a podcast or a video cast or a blog or some kind of shit that they're trying to use to report with, and then they have this friend of theirs whose family member has the keys to the place, so she meets up with them in the beginning, drops the keys off to them, and then she takes off with her family because their family's gonna go and do Christmas together. And so those are the 2 stories that basically start off together but break off.
So I see.
The one group is the kids going into the school to do the investigation, and then the other story is the family going to have Christmas with their other family that they don't get to see very often.
And then the 3rd is just completely different with
and
Santa.
The 3rd one is
about Santa and the North Pole.
Santa and the North Pole and the elves and his wife.
Okay.
So.
And there was no connecting anything
Not really.
Weird. Okay. So it's not a Christmas horror story. It's 3 different ones in one movie. Okay.
Yeah, so it should have more been titled Christmas Horror Stories,
something. Yeah.
But like I said, there's like a tie-in. It's very, very minimal tie-in at the end, but it's super weird. Well, except for the kids in the school. So the kids, okay, without jumping around, we'll focus on the kids in the school. So the kids in the school go find the room where the murders happen, and this entire story is like a possession story. So there's 2 boys, 1 girl. The girl gets possessed with some malevolent spirit that's there that I think caused the murders originally, and she takes one of the boys into the room and then ends up back in the area where they were kind of hanging out because they were going to do some investigations and stuff like that after they found the room. And so she leads one of the boys back to that room, and it basically like leads him on, like she's going to do some stuff to him. And so you don't see anything after that, and then she's back in the original place where they started doing like investigations of other stuff to try and figure out what actually happened. And then the guy like basically like loses his shit because he's like, oh my god, you got blood on you, and where'd you get the blood from? And like she's like in a trance, and all of a sudden like she like pushes him down on the chair, and then she starts to ride him, and then gets him off, and then she gets off of him and then backs up, and all of a sudden just snaps out of it, and it was like back to herself again. She's like, oh my god, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
You know, and then she's like sees the blood. She's like, what happened? And he's like, I don't know. And he's trying to explain to her like what she did, and she's like, no way. And it was so like weird and convoluted. And so they ended up looking for the other guy, and then they find him in the room like fucking dead.
Yeah.
And then they're like losing it, and then like the door slams, and then the other kid basically gets like thrown up against the wall by the spirit, and then the spirit like reveals it herself. And then she goes up to the girl, and she's like holding, like she's a ghost, and she's holding like a ghost baby, and then she like puts her hand on the girl's belly, and then you're like, oh fuck, she's pregnant. So she leaves her alone, but then ends up killing the guy. So both boys are dead, and then like the door opens and she lets her go.
Oh.
And that's that story.
Interesting.
Yeah, fucking weird. So the second story has the girl that gave the keys to those kids going with her family to, I guess, the dad's aunt's house or something like that. The one actor there that I do recognize, for all you Supernatural fans, the guy played Death on Supernatural. Julian Richings. So he was the original Death on Supernatural.
He's super cool looking, like.
yeah. He played the part so well, and he plays some kind of relative to the guy, but I think he turns into Krampus. Like I was trying to watch and try to like stay awake enough to like really pay attention to it. So like some parts I think I missed, some parts I didn't. But I think he like transforms into Krampus and then starts to kill the family. And
in the second story, yeah.
Yeah, in the second story.
Okay.
And then like the daughter, the girl who gave the keys, I think she basically like final girls and kills him, or thinks that she kills him because she like drives something like a pole or some kind of like weapon like through the neck and the head of Krampus, and then like, you know, he looks like he's dead, like dies, and she goes back to the house where the aunt or whoever the older lady is of the family, and basically it confronts her, and then she's like telling her like a story about it, and really I think that's kind of where that ends. So it's like it was really weird like how that story didn't really evolve.
Yeah.
It just turned into like a killer, and he was killing like people.
And then it's all open ended, right?
Yeah, like and he was Krampus, and then you get to the North Pole, and up there, Santa. The first thing you see is Santa's got this big old like gash like across his face, and he's walking down this long ramp where I guess the sleigh is and the reindeer. Like it's a bunch of stalls where the reindeers are at, and you hear him talking to the reindeer, and then like you hear something beating on the door and banging on the door, and so he puts down his Christmas spear, whatever it is, and he grabs like a fucking double-headed axe out of his sleigh, and then the door like kicks open. It's like this huge bright white light, and he's kind of like blinded for a second, and then all of a sudden like Krampus appears, like the same Krampus that guy was
from the previous story. Okay.
Yeah. And then like so him and Santa are now like dueling it out, like having a fight.
Oh shit. That sounds cool though.
Yeah, and then it like, but before the doors break open, the way the story for him is that's how it started with him, and then it kind of shoots back. I think it says like the day or before, 24 hours before. So it has Santa walking around, making sure that his elves are still working and doing what they need to do, and he's talking to his wife, Mrs. Claus, and then one of the elves like somehow like gets sick or infected with something, and then turns into like a living dead like creature, and then like starts attacking them, and he's like thought he killed it, and they were taking the body away, and then all of a sudden like the next scene is him running into an office where his wife's at, and he like closes the door and like tries to like lock it up, and he like has her sneak off to a different like secret door to get away. He's like, you need to save yourself, and like you see like all the other elves are all like fucking demented looking, and like little like fucking evil dead like things, and so he's like fighting these things off like left and right, like trying to kill them all, and then he comes across this one room, and then is attacked by his wife, because now his wife is one of them, like, so she obviously got infected or bit, or however they don't really say how like the infection or how they get turned or something like that. So then he has to end up killing her, and then it goes to that scene where he's walking down that hallway and talking to the reindeer, and then he starts to fight Krampus. And then the big twist towards the end is as he has Krampus down, he's getting ready to kill him. It's all of a sudden like a person's voice, and then you see him like basically transform from like Santa Claus, and it's like kind of flashing in and out. So it's like Santa Claus, department store, Santa Claus, department store, Santa Claus, department store, and it's basically like this guy's fucking deranged like mentality of thinking that he's Santa Claus, and that he's fighting these demons, and you just see this normal guy on the ground just like like begging for his life, and then you see like the flashes like of all these normal people in the department store, like, oh, this person was that elf, this person was Mrs. Claus.
Okay. In his head he was making up all these stories.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. And then the police are there, and then like he was getting ready to like kill the Krampus guy, and then he gets fucking basically just shot up.
All right.
So that was the twist that I thought was kind of cool, that was all like in its head. Yeah, it actually wasn't Santa Claus in up the North Pole, and then him fighting Krampus, and so but super weird fucking movie. Like it was all over the place. There was no really like connection. It had like a few connections here and there, but nothing solid. It's like for them to connect that one family to the Santa Claus story with the same Krampus, like that was just super weird. Like,
and did William Shatner what was his role? Was he like a
he was
presenter or?
No, he was just a DJ. He was at a radio station, and he was just playing music.
But he wasn't like a like a crypt keeper type figure that tells you something. No.
He wasn't telling you anything about any of these stories. He was just playing music and then talking about like what his night was going to be like, because he was going to get drunk and try to sleep with fucking the chick that was at the radio station.
Okay.
He's like, oh, I'm going to get lucky, and me and her are going to he was just being Bill.
Classic Captain Kirk.
So yeah, that movie was super weird. Interesting, but super weird. And if I was to rate it, I would give it 2 stabs.
2 stabs? Okay. 2 stabs only.
Next on the list is Christmas, Bloody Christmas. That was a 2022 movie. This movie also was fucking weird, because this movie basically was people fighting Santa and they found out that Santa was a robot.
Yeah, the poster looks really crazy.
Yeah, the poster looked super cool, and I thought it was going to be a really cool movie, but it was very B at the most.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you've seen this movie, let us know like what you thought. And this is a Shudder movie, like a Shudder original.
Oh, okay.
So
that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, that explains a lot.
The budget, yeah.
So very, very much so. Cool premise of the story being the robotic Santa Claus, but it reminded me very much of like Terminator.
Like a Christmas Terminator?
Yeah, like a Christmas Terminator. So if I
cool.
was to equate it to something, that would be the closest thing that I would say that it could be.
That's a cool sell, actually. I would like to see something like that.
It was entertaining. I tell you that much. It was very, very entertaining. I don't recognize really any of these people. The guy who played the Santa Claus, I'm looking at his picture right now. I know him as a character actor, Abraham Ben Ruby. So if you know him, you've probably seen his work. And but as for like all the other actors and stuff like that, obviously a bunch of no names. Well, Jeff Daniel Phillips, he played the sheriff. You know him as he was in a bunch of Rob Zombie movies, but he was also best known as Herman Munster in the Munsters remake.
Oh yeah.
So not not the best movie.
So he works with
he works with Rob Zombie and a lot of stuff.
Rob Zombie a lot, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. He's obviously in the clique. Real interesting movie. Yeah, I would just say it's like Terminator, like for Christmas, Terminator Santa. And I would also just still give it like 2 stabs.
Just 2 stabs? I want to check it out anyway. Yeah, looks cool.
And the next 2 are movies that are part 1 and part 2. Like they have the first one and there's a sequel. These are the Krampus movies. These are Krampus the Christmas Devil and Krampus the Devil Returns. And these movies I thought were going to be something completely different, but I was really just taken back by like how low budget and B movie these are.
Yeah, even in the sound, right? Like the sound is really like, it just sounds like they're recorded with like just like a camcorder or something.
Yeah, it didn't sound like they used an actual like
a boomstick or anything.
Yeah. It just sounds like they were either recording with their phone or the mic that came on the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was trying to like aim it at them as much as possible to hear them talk. But yeah, it was kind of like acting class at its finest, like the people who wanted to be actors and this was their first time to really act in front of something.
Yeah.
You could see like the acting chops on a lot of these people.
Yeah, like a college kid just got grouped together and he said, "Let's make a movie."
Yeah, I mean, kudos to these guys who made the movie, both of them, because they're out there doing it. So I'm not going to talk shit on their movie. I think as something that was presented to me as a high-end movie, because like even like the pictures that are like all over the internet, like with the movie cover, the artwork and stuff like that, looked really cool. And I thought
made it seem more legit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was going to be something completely different than it was. But basically, it was like this kid who was supposed to be captured by Krampus and killed, and he ended up surviving. And then so Krampus now has to like find him like years later as an adult. And Santa, who's Krampus's brother, is basically like pulling the strings, telling him he needs to rectify this problem and fix the list and get this kid off the list because they have to have their nice and naughty list, and then I guess with the naughty list they're wiping everybody off the naughty list, so it's like a blank list.
Yeah.
So there's no naughty kids out there. But like Santa's really purge. Yeah, Santa's kind of really just jaded. He doesn't seem like jolly old Saint Nick. He seems like the guy in the trailer park that's willing to sell you fucking like weed if your parents aren't watching. Yeah. Like that's the Santa Claus that I feel like that we got in this movie.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And then same thing too with the Krampus the Devil Returns. Both these movies were basically like 3 years apart, 2013 and 2016. And same cast.
Didn't get much better.
Yeah, it didn't get much better. So the same guy who was in it as the main actor in the first one came back to reprise his role in the sequel, but it was only towards like the middle and the end that he was making in the appearance and doing the run around and trying to help, stop Krampus. It was kind of weird, and then like I said, very low budget. Also, probably give it 2 stabs for both of them.
Stabs only, yeah. Yeah, probably there with you.
Still better than Silent Night, Bloody Night.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's definitely worth the watch. But don't waste your time. Like if you have something better to watch, watch that. But if you're down to being on a Krampus binge, save these. No, don't save these ones for last. Watch these ones first, so that way
you have a palate cleanser.
Yeah,
afterwards.
You'll get some better Krampuses afterwards.
You'll need a Krampus chaser.
Okay. So those are the Krampuses. There was a couple other ones that we had, but we obviously didn't have enough time to watch it because this list was pretty big to begin with, and we're already like at the hour 30 mark or so with our podcast on this. And
yeah, I was not aware that there were so many titles on the Yuletide slasher genre.
Yeah, me too. I was very surprised. I mean, I remember being younger and only knowing the Black Christmas and Silent Night, Deadly Night, and then there was a few other ones, but nothing that big. I thought it was only like a handful of movies that had the Christmas titles mixed in with them.
Yeah, we kind of ended up in a rabbit hole there.
Yeah, pretty much so. Before we move on to our last movie that we're going to talk about, which is Dear Santa, we do have some honorable mentions for Christmas movies, and for all of you guys that are with us, Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is. It's not Christmas until Hans Gruber falls off Nakatomi Plaza.
That's fucking right. So, and then there's a handful of people out there that disagree with us and will argue the fact that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. But you know what we say? It is. So, suck it.
Absolutely.
Another honorable mention, Gremlins. Gremlins.
Yeah, totally.
It takes place during Christmas, and it's got some freaky elements to it.
Yeah.
It's got a good wholesome story to it too.
To me, the little song that Gizmo sang is another Christmas Carol in my mind.
Yeah, totally. And then we reviewed this one like quite some time ago, but Violent Night.
Yeah.
Not so much, I think, a horror movie, but like definitely
a cool action movie.
Yeah, cool action movie. Definitely worth talking about. And if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's super cool. Like, you want to see a badass Santa, David Harbour brings Santa.
He brings it.
Yeah, he brings it big time.
Yeah. Did you watch Red One this year?
No, I still haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Okay. A cool cameo appearance by Krampus in there. So
cool. Really?
Yeah, you're gonna see another Krampus in there. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I'm sure I will probably watch it probably tomorrow night. My wife's been wanting me to watch it, and I kept telling her no because she watched it without me. So I was just being a dick, and I was like, no, I don't want to watch it. I'm gonna watch something else. She's like, fine. So I'm sure she'll be like, all right, we can watch it. But yeah. Did you have any other honorable mentions?
No, not really. I mean, I did get to watch on Christmas Day. I did get to watch Nosferatu, so I'm pretty excited to talk about that. We'll do it on another podcast. But yeah,
that's dope. Yeah, he's your favorite.
Yep.
Ollin got this really fucking cool popcorn container. It's Nosferatu's sarcophagus.
Yeah, it's tin.
It's tin. Yeah, it is fucking badass. The detail and the artwork.
Detail and the artwork.
If
cool.
you haven't seen it, look it up online.
There's a bunch of rats in it.
Fucking badass. Yeah, I saw it and I was like completely jealous. I'm like, fuck, I want one of those. That's so cool. I will find something to put in it.
Yeah, I still don't know what I'm gonna put in it, but it's in there somewhere.
All right, so now we come to the last here is Dear Santa. This movie is a 2024 comedy, so nothing horror about it. Just like I said, looked like a cool movie to watch, especially the premise. The premise is this kid is dyslexic, and then he writes a letter to Satan, not Santa.
Right.
And then Satan gets the letter. At least that we want to also say that this is going to be a spoiler light.
Spoiler light, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't want to give any of this away.
It's a fairly a very new movie, actually. So yeah, we don't want to spoil it in its entirety for everyone. But
yeah, so he's got a learning disability, a little bit of dyslexia, and thinks he's writing Santa, but he ends up writing Satan, which I think you see this in the trailer. And yeah, so a lot of shenanigans and stuff happen through the movie with him and Satan. Satan comes and pays him a visit and pretends to be Santa. And that's as much spoiler as I'm gonna say about that. Very fun movie. It got me in the feels towards the end. I got very emotional because there was a couple scenes that really kind of get you, but nothing bad. Good feels. Yeah, overall, I thought it was a great movie. It's got a good cast. Like I said, Jack Black is in it. He plays the role of Satan that we know of in the movie. Brienne Howie is in it. I was actually telling Ollin that she looked so familiar, and I had to look her up because I knew I've seen her in something. But there was a TV show called The Passage, and it was like a vampire show, and she was one of the vampires in the movie, or not the movie, the TV show. She was also in the Exorcist TV show, the first season. She was one of the sisters. She was the sister of the girl who was possessed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was super cool show. If you haven't seen that one, you should definitely check that out.
Yeah, I definitely did not recognize her.
It says that she's
all.
in Scream Queens, but I don't remember seeing her in Scream Queens or what her role on that was.
Probably a minor one, if that's the case.
But yeah, she was in it, and then the kid who plays Liam, the main role, was played by an actor named Robert Timothy Smith. Also fairly new to me, but I just read that he's in the Star Wars Skeleton Crew TV series. Don't know what character he plays in it, whether he's doing a live action or a voiceover, so I don't know. And then Hayes MacArthur is in it. He plays the dad, and he's like a well-known stand-up comic.
I've seen his comedy, yeah.
Yeah, so.
You do get a little cameo with Kyle Gass there.
Yeah, Kyle Gass is in there also, so where Jack Black is,
yeah,
you gotta have Kyle.
Absolutely.
Tenacious D always rides hard. Yeah, so.
Post Malone is in it, if that's somebody you're into.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw him, if he was posted in the... if he was in the trailer or not.
I don't think he was, but he's credited.
Yeah, he's credited in it. So if you're definitely into Posty, then definitely check it out because he's in a good part of the movie. So
yeah,
so you definitely don't get just like a cameo and they're like, oh, there he was and there he goes. And
no, he's actually got like a few speaking roles, and like he does actually well. He does pretty well.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think he's just playing himself, really.
Yeah,
but,
basically, yeah.
But yeah, he didn't fuck it up. So
it's a good start. Good start.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely a really cool movie. I don't really know what else to say without spoiling anything.
Yeah, well, it's really funny, a little Jack Black ism. So if you like Jack Black, it's just Jack Black being Jack Black.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Jack Black being Jack Black. Yeah, definitely a couple scenes in there that you're just like, yeah, that's so totally Jack Black.
Yeah, it's probably something he does in his real life anyway. So, but yeah, I definitely recommend. It's super fun. It's funny. It's very entertaining as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I gave this one 4 stabs.
4 stabs. Yeah, me too.
Just and it's not even a horror movie, so I would just say 4 candy canes. Can't call it stabs. I gave this one 4 candy canes.
All right, 4 candy canes, but one of them is sharpened up.
That's a good one. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, check it out. If you have seen it, drop some comments. Let us know what you thought, and let us know also about any of the other stuff on our list here that you may have agreed with or disagreed with. Did you think that Black Christmas '74 was the first slasher? I don't think so, but that's just me.
Yeah, it would need a lot more slashing to be a slasher.
Yeah.
Like back then, just one slash was enough to to consider a slasher. I guess I don't know.
I guess when they said 1 stab, that means a lot.
Yeah,
that's to our standards today. 1 stab does not mean a lot anymore.
No, not anymore. We have progressed.
That's right. Oh yeah, I realized that we didn't crack one like while we were talking.
Oh yeah, you still want to crack one?
Sure. I mean, should just do that. So this podcast is brought to you unofficially by Liquid Death. Ollin has graciously provided us with a mango chainsaw today. So hopefully one day we could get Liquid Death to sponsor us. Yeah, here's to you. No fizz. Damn it.
This one is growing on me. It was my least favorite one, but
I haven't had it in a while, and yeah, it's actually it hit pretty well. That was actually really good. I got a lot of mango on that flavor.
yeah.
I like mango too, especially what's the Mexican mango with the spicy shit on it.
Oh, you mean the lollipop?
No, it's the just the regular candy, the one that comes in the bag. That's like the mango pieces, and it's got all the.
Oh yeah, it's just like it's like dried mango, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with it, and it's just covered in like chili powder and.
Yeah. That stuff's so fucking bomb.
Yeah.
Like my mouth's watering talking about it right now. Like that shit's so good. That hits.
It gets addictive, man.
Yeah, I like mango as a mango itself, but like that stuff, I got introduced to it like a couple of years back, and I was just like, oh my god, where have you been all my life?
Yeah.
Why did I not know about you?
For some reason, mango and chili go together. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Similar like the tahini, like with a lot of the fruits, like how they just the mixture
watermelon and tahini is it's super good.
Yeah, so fucking good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, mango chainsaw.
That's right. Death to plastic, murder your thirst.
Very good.
All right. Well, that kind of concludes our Christmas horror episode. Like I said, drop some comments. Let us know what you liked, what you disliked, if you agreed with us. Also, like I said about the slasher, thing about Black Christmas. And, did you watch any other horror Christmas movies? And you wanted to let us know about, what we should check out for the next podcast for Christmas. You got anything else to add?
If you've made it to the end, you guys are legends. And next time I talk to you guys, it'll be 2025.
That's right. It's going to be Happy New Year. So if you guys also liked the music in the beginning and the end, that is by a band named Zayo. And you can find all of their music and paraphernalia on zayoonline.net. They have a new album out currently called The Crimson Corridor. And then they also have the Live at the Church album that if you haven't seen it like on YouTube, there's clips and stuff on there. Fucking super cool. And all of our social medias are available for you guys to take a look at. There's horror trivia that I do on like half of these. The rest of our information is also on these. You can also find the podcast on YouTube, Rumble. You can find it at Apple Podcast or the Spotify for creators, I think it's called now. They changed the name. These fucking companies are constantly changing the name of their shit. So it used to be Spotify for podcasters, but I think that's more for us. But really, it's just Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So you can find the podcast on either one of those. The Google Podcast one doesn't exist anymore. So, but you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, Tumblr. God, I gotta update this thing. YouTube, Rumble, all the podcasting platforms that are out there and available, and TikTok. And then all the other information, which is pretty much the same information, you can find at our website, which is www.thehorrorscene.com. Check it out. Ring that bell, give us a like, subscribe, do all those fun things that the kids tell you to do. Help some brothers out. Help us, move the name to the interwebs so everybody knows what the Horror Scene and Last Rites podcast is all about. So remember to stay creepy and to keep it spooky. From our grave to yours, these have been your Last Rites.
This is Last Rites.